All right, hello everyone. So sorry, our team shares a Zoom, so Jody did just hop on. So sorry if you saw her. But we're gonna go get started. So thank you to everyone that's tuning in live, and to those of you that are tuning into the recording. We missed you, but we're happy you're watching on your own time. Today is gonna be the topic is how to get the most out of Microsoft 365. So we'll go ahead and get started. And it looks like some of you have already found the chat box. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can't. And feel free to let us know where you're watching from and what your business name is. But as always, a huge thank you to Center for Rural Affairs for being a partner and a sponsor of the Grow Nebraska Foundation. They do a lot of great things for women-owned businesses, and we're so happy to be able to work with them. And our featured sponsor for the month of March is the Pinnacle Bank, so a huge shout out to them. Our featured member is Control Yours, and they have been a Grow Nebraska member since 2021, and they actually did our layout of the grownebraska.org website. It looks amazing, and they actually just revamped the gnwbc.org website, so if you need any web design needs, Control Yours is the people to go to. And then this week's presenter is Gretchen Bren of Turner Technology. If you have any questions for her throughout the presentation, be sure to find the chat box in the bottom, or you can pop questions in the Q&A section, and she'll answer them as you go. So any and all questions are welcome. So I will stop my screen share and let Gretchen take over.
I suppose that means I better start mine, or it's going to be a very boring presentation. Thank you all for being here today. I'm excited about this. I've been training with Microsoft Office for more years than I care to admit. It is not only something I do in my everyday job, it's something I do on a regular basis for training and to just organize my life. So there's a number of hints and other things that I thought I'd share today as part of this. But truly, if you have any questions on what I'm doing, or if you have a problem that you'd like me to discuss more on your own, I'm more than willing to do that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to dive into my favorite program, which is Microsoft Excel. So let me share my screen. And I'm going to bring in a spreadsheet that, we're used to really seeing. So this is a sample that you're probably used to seeing in getting data out from clients or from your boss or something else. And, where do you start in something like this? Whoops, I want to switch to the sales analysis page. Whenever I see data like this, when you have data in rows and columns, we're all used to using Excel to kind of think of things as a database. We have things in rows and columns. And you can do an awful lot of things, but the first thing I always tell people, when you get data like this, the first thing you want to do is make it into a table. And to do that, I go up to the Insert menu and choose Table. Now, as long as my cursor is anywhere in the block of data, it's going to make a correct guess as to how big my table is. So I don't have to select everything. I can just select the one cell, and it's going to guess, as you can see on screen, that my table is from A1 to N50, and that my table has headers. As long as I have no completely blank rows or completely blank columns, it's going to get it right. So I'm going to click OK, and it's then making it into a table. Now, I should have done one more thing to make it really spectacular on showing. I'm going to change the color here. Let me put the no fill back in. But now with my table design, I can quickly change the color background to match what I want it to. So that's one advantage of a table. Another advantage of a table are these little filter boxes up here at the top. If I click on a filter box for that column, it's going to show me all the answers that are somewhere in that column. So if I want to see everything that company A has bought from us, I can deselect everything, click company A, and there's what company A has bought from us. Okay, bad example there. Let's try company B and C. And there we see that list. So it's a great way to quickly filter your data. When I'm done filtering it, I can clear the filter and I'm back to seeing everything. Now that same box will also let me sort my column. So now I've just sorted my data with all the customer names together. If I want to see it by product name, I can come over here and sort by product name. So this gives you access to a lot of power that you have right in Excel without having to do anything in the other menus. The only thing I did was go up to Insert and tell it to be a table. When you're working with a table, it will put a new menu up here at the top. So that's table design. And notice over here, I can even give my table a name. So that when I'm used to, or when I'm accessing it for formulas, it has an actual name. That's a feature that not a lot of people realize is there. So they just keep kind of the static name. So inside of here, we've done our tables. We're able to sort and filter. I want to tackle the next thing that scares so many people about Excel, and that is pivot tables. When I used to teach a class for the Nebraska Business Development Center, pivot tables were done on the third day of the advanced class. Anymore, I tell people we want to get into pivot tables right away, because if you're looking at data like this, pivot tables is the way to really drill in, and it's not nearly as hard as everybody thinks. All I have to do is use our insert menu again and tell it to make a pivot table. Now, again, as long as you've already created a table in your document, it's going to know that you want to work with that range. And you can see on the screen, it even knows that I want to do my sales table. And I'm going to make it into a new worksheet. Click OK. And now I see the scary part about doing a pivot table. I see a blank page. But the blank page isn't so bad if you know your data. So in this case, we already saw a couple of different ways that we want to sort our data, or we could sort our data. So I'm going to grab product name, and I'm going to put it in as rows. And I'm going to find our sales figure. I think oh, there it is. And I'm going to put that in values. Now, here's another trick that you may or may not know on Excel. Always watch to see what your cursor looks like. If I see that it's this single line with the two arrows, I can double click and that'll let me auto expand that column. By the way, I love interaction. I believe there are some emojis or other things that you can do. If you see something that comes up that is brand new to you, I'd love to get some feedback if you can send any of those. That really helps me to know that I am hitting what you want to see. So I just expanded that column, and now I have a list of all the sales for all the products that we have. How many times do you have to do that for your boss? And it takes you so long to try to sort it together and use subtotals or manually type that up. Here we can do it as a pivot table. But now let's talk about why it's called a pivot table. We can go through, and I want to find out who's been buying what. So I am going to put the company name in the columns. Now I can see the sales going across, and I can see the company data going down. Now, okay, I have a very boring set of clients. They're all named company in a letter. So to make this easier to see, I'm going to go to my formatting, And there's a cool tool called orientation. I'm going to put it so I angle my company names off to the side. That lets me not only see the full company name, but then again, I'm going to use that double click there, and it's going to compress it down to be just as big as I need to for that data. So now I'm able to quickly see, okay, which companies like the clam chowder? I can see that's company B, C, and I. So and Z, can't forget company Z. So it's a great way to be able to see your data and be able to see the totals. Maybe you want to see what the best-selling items are in this table. Again, I can just right-click. Now, this is another one of my sayings, the right mouse button is your friend. If you're not sure where something is in a menu, all the right mouse button clicks in Microsoft products will always bring up a short menu of the things that you're most likely to be able to do. So I'm going to right click and then choose sort largest to smallest. And now we see our best selling products by companies going across, and we're able to see those totals. So pivot tables, everybody says are so scary. They're really not. Let's see, let me go back to so going back to your data, I can always go back to my sales analysis, but I cannot tell you how many times my boss has told me, wait a minute, that number doesn't look quite right there. What are they really buying? Well, instead of going back over to my data, I can double click on this cell and it's going to make a new sheet in my worksheet and show me the numbers that make up that value. So it's a great way not to have to go into your original data. And I try never to let my boss into the original data. They're always going to mess it up. But by being able to double click on a pivot table and create a new worksheet within the workbook of just the data that they're trying to look at, they're able to see, oh, Ann did a great job by selling selling company BB that sales. Great job for her. So that lets them see the details without anything else, without hurting the original data at all. A lot of times, after I've done looking for it, again, I just use my right mouse button and told it to delete, and I'm going to get rid of that sheet. That doesn't hurt the original data because it made a copy of the detail for that. And what I had just done was double click on that to get it to come up with the other name. Okay, any other questions on pivot tables offhand? Oh, one thing, why do they call it a pivot table? Well, you can go through and drag things around. Whoops, I should change my customer name back to being horizontal. Okay, now I'm going to grab my customer name from columns and I'm going to put it down here under the products. Now I've changed my pivot table to show me visually this way of which sale or which customers are buying which products. Or if I wanted to really get crazy, I can even completely pivot it on its head so it's going this other direction. You're able to control how you want to be able to see it within the pivot table. So if you're having to go through and do a lot of data analysis, this is just amazing to be able to use the pivot table. Don't wait, don't think it's too advanced for you. Just dive in there and do it, and you'll really be a lot better with your data. Okay, I didn't see any questions, so you guys get to see the next thing I'm going to bring up here. Okay, one mind blown. I appreciate that. Here's another thing. I hate wasting time that I don't have to. And so many times I get a worksheet like this. Let me zoom it up a bit. That it has somebody's first name and last name together in one column, but I want it to sort it by last name order. So I need to separate it out. This is something that is done so often with Excel. They've made it even easier for you. Excel will actually guess what you're trying to do. So I want to get my DSM full name. I want it to separate out and get the first name and last name in two different columns. So I'm just going to type in John. In this next one, I'm going to type in Neil. And can you see what happened on the screen? It is now guessing the names of all the other people for me. As soon as I hit enter, it is going to fill that in. So all I had to do was type in two names and it's automatically pulled out the full name or the first name for everybody. So guess what happens if I go in the next one? I start typing it in there and I don't even have to fill it out. I typed in 2 characters of the next person's name and there it has it all the way down. I hit enter and now I have the first and last name pulled together. That is such a cool way to be able to get it. Now, as I said, what's the first thing? Oh, I changed somebody's life. Oh, I love hearing that. I put a note out on my LinkedIn page advertising this, and I promised everybody that if you couldn't get at least one tip that's going to save you an hour's time in the future, I'll refund your money. So yeah, this is a fun way to be able to do it. Now, what's the first thing I said when I'm looking at data like this? First thing I do is I go up to insert and I make it into a table. I'm going to check the box here that my table has headers because I have a couple of columns that I did put a header name in there. That's fine. It'll call it something. That's the most important part for me. So now if I want to sort by last name, guess what? I can now sort by last name. There they are. I can even remove those columns later on so nobody knows exactly how I did it. That's a fun way to be able to work with this. Let's see, what else do I want to show here? Oh, when you're working with tables, let's see, I didn't give this table a name. Let's call it salespeople. If I want to do a formula over here, I can add text together. So now I'm going to add the last name. I'm going to type an ampersand. An ampersand is like a plus sign for text. And then I'm going to do a quote, comma, quote, space, excuse me, quote, comma, space, quote, and ampersand and their first name. And now I have a list over here that now has redone my list. So it's first name, comma, last name. So again, your formulas don't have to just be for numbers. You can use formulas like this and be able to go through and get your data together. Oh, thank you. I'm seeing some great comments over here. I can't tell you how much happier that makes me, and that gets me more excited, which makes me want to go off script even more. So where can we find formulas? Formulas are found all over the place, but there's a button up here that says Insert Function. Now, the bad part is Insert Function isn't going to tell you about my ampersand. That is kind of a trick. But ampersand is really a short version for concatenate. So I'm going to use my FX button and I'm going to say concat, because that's as much as I can usually spell out concatenate. And then it's going to tell me that I can join several text strings together. And now I want to put in the first name, comma, space, and then the, whoops, I used the wrong thing. Now, how can I tell I used the wrong thing? This is the other reason why I like using that FX button is it guides you along as to what you're doing. I didn't want to get the full thing. I just wanted to get his last name. So I'm going to come over here and it's now showing me exactly what it's going to get. Comma space, and then his first name, click OK. And because this is a table, it automatically filled it down through the entire table. That is the cool part about making it a table. And again, on the functions using this FX, if I'm in a blank cell and hit FX, you're able to see the most recently used formulas, or you can use this drop-down list to find all the different ones out of there. Now, Excel 365 is now an online program that's updated regularly. When it was last sold out of the box, I had gone through and went through all 350 functions, just going in here and clicking on them one at a time to see what the function did, and tried to have some fun ones. Well, because 365 automatically updates, they're adding new ones every day. We pretty much only use 10% of what's available inside of Excel. But even just creeping it up to just these few short things that I've shown you on using tables and knowing how to find functions, that's going to creep you up even the next couple of percentages. And sooner rather than later, you're going to find out you can just whiz through the things that you used to do. Microsoft pretty much knows that we use the same functions and the same things over and over again. When I'm teaching my classes, I tell you that what Microsoft has done is put the most common things in the upper left-hand corner. So those are the things that you want to pay more attention to if you're trying to explore on some things. So the closer it is to the upper left, the more important it is. Also, the more important something is, the more ways there are to be able to do it. Okay, I'm going to grab another sheet here. And again, I have another set of numbers or information out here. So many people use Excel to just track this exact sort of thing. Well, this one I'm going to get into some other formulas, but I want to point out here on birth date and hire date. These are columns that are not big enough to show the data. You can also see over here, home phone number isn't big enough. Remember, I showed you that trick before about double clicking to expand the column. Also, when I insert as a table, that will also fix those errors. Again, with the cursors, if I see that there's this black arrow pointing down here, it's going to just get those columns selected. So many times I see people clicking and then dragging down and down and down, and it takes forever to get through a list. By knowing that you can quickly select a column by looking for that little tiny black arrow and clicking, that saves so much scrolling time. The reason why I had this, I wanted to show you that you can come up here to custom and change it to a short date. So if you don't like the date in a certain format, you can always change it to something that you do like. Let's see. I added some values over here for salary. Now I made these up. I hope nobody's getting paid this low, at least on a monthly basis. But you know, they're made up numbers. So I don't even know these people even. So I'm going to go through here and I want to see what the total salary is. Because this is a table, I have my new table design menu up here. And I'm going to tell it I want a total row added. So it's added a row in there. And now what it will do is there's a drop down and I can choose sum, and it's going to sum up all the salary that's there. So again, I can just use that. Or if I want to choose average, I can find what the average salary is. Now, here's the cool part. I can go in and maybe I just want to look at who the sales representatives are. So I'm going to use that filter drop down again, click on sales representative, and now go back to sum. There's the total of what I'm paying my sales reps. So it's a cool way to be able to go through and quickly analyze your table for information. A lot of times I end up looking for blanks. So again, that drop down, I can go through and look for blanks and have it come up with those. Now, in this case, it's blank for a reason. They're in the UK, they don't have a region associated with it. But it's still good to know that I can quickly go in and find blanks. I can find errors. I can look for odd patterns, because so much of what we're asked to do is making sure that the data is consistent throughout. So it's by putting it in a table, you really are able to get so much more out of it. Okay. How do you turn a table into a shareable report? So there's a number of ways you can make it a shareable report. If you have Office 365, using the share button up here, I can copy a link to this spreadsheet. Okay. Oh, I don't have it saved in my OneDrive, but that's one way you can do it. But one way I will show in here, even if I'm just, let's go through and I'm going to hide the birth date and hire date and their phone number and extension. Probably should hide these two, but we're going to embarrass some people. So I'm going to just select that data. I just clicked on one side, drug to the other. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to make an email. So I'm using Microsoft Outlook. If I paste it inside of here, it's going to make a one-off copy of this table. Now, one of the cool things by putting it into here, I can do the same thing by putting it into Word. I can go into the table design, go into the layout, auto fit, and contents. And then it's going to resize my table to fit my window or to just fit the contents. This is such a cool way to be able to send data out to people. Now, this is not a live link. This would be a fixed link. If I go into Microsoft Excel, or Microsoft Word, let me make a new Word document here. And now when I paste in here, I can tell it to paste, and you'll notice that two of the special buttons, and again, I right-click because the right mouse button is your friend, and I can tell it to link and keep the source formatting. Now I'm going to change, well, we'll see how this works in here. And again, I haven't tried this, so if it doesn't work, please forgive me, but it's fun to try these things out sometime. Oops, and find the right spreadsheet. And there we go, it's columns and rows, Sam. And I'm going to make Nancy a doctor. So I should be able to change that there. And notice here, I didn't even have to click anywhere in that Word document. It automatically updated Nancy's title. Now, there are some things that you have to be concerned about this. You do have to make sure that these two files are saved in the same place. If I send something out and it tries to update it and it can't find the original document, it's going to give somebody an error when they try to update it. But if you're just doing something internally and working on that, it's great. The other thing, because of Microsoft 365, is that I can now have more than one person working on this spreadsheet at a time. If this is saved out to my OneDrive or SharePoint site, and that's a little bit beyond the scope of what I wanted to talk about today, but I can have multiple people in here making changes to the document all at one time. So that is really the power of Office 365, is that collaboration that you get other than just having fixed reports that you're looking at. You can have multiple people changing the same document at one time. And if that doesn't blow your mind, boy, that is just really the way to work. Earlier today, I was working on some accounts receivable reports, and I have two other people in the office I'm sharing it with. And so we had our one list of all the receivables, and all of us were calling different people. And so in the same worksheet, we're making our notes so we can see who already contacted that person, or if that person was calling back in, we'd be able to see what the other person had told them. So it was really a great way that we could all work together on the same set of data. It really does change how you work when you start sharing your documents with other people in your office. Okay, I do want to hit a couple of other things today that we talked about. And one of the things was about triaging your email. But last chance for something to be asked about in Excel. I shouldn't say last chance. If you have a question on Excel, please put it up there. If you want it to be answered later, again, you can send it just to me and I'd be glad to get an answer back to you as well. But this is being recorded. I know I'm going through this a little fast, so hopefully you will take a chance to come back here and take a look at it and get to slow it down a little bit and try it for yourself. So let me just minimize my Excel windows here and get rid of that. And one of my favorite topics to talk about is how to triage your email. It is so hard for me to keep track of what I need to get done in my email that I really took a look and took some other classes from other people to find out what's the best way for me to be able to get through my inbox on a regular basis. And I'll tell you, the first thing I do is when I hover over an email, you're going to see that there is a flag. Now, if you're not seeing the flag when you hover over it, you will find the flag up here as tags. I go through first thing in the morning and I am going to mark as a flagged item the things that are most important to me that I need to get done. Then as I do them during the day, I'll click on that flag and that will mark it as being done. So that's a great way for me to keep track right in my inbox of what I have to do. I don't have to worry about Post-it notes or documents running around or checklists. It's all right there in my email, because that's how most people tell me that they need me to get something done. Send me an email, or I'll even send myself an email from my phone when I need to work on it. Now I have 5 unread emails. Oh wait, let me pull this off screen for just a moment, make sure don't have anything too embarrassing in my inbox, because this is my live inbox. Okay. So inside of here, I'm able to see the messages that are out here, and there you can see that flag that I did. I can now filter my list. So up here, I'm normally filtering by date. I'm going to filter by flag status. Or excuse me, I'm going to filter by flag. And now these are all the emails that I need to catch up on. So it's a great way for me to be able to see how far along my day I am. And those things that I don't get done until the next day they're still going to be flagged, but now they're going to start showing up in red because I was supposed to do them a couple of days ago. This was a great way for me to be able to start working in Microsoft Outlook to find out what things I need to be working on in my inbox. Then Microsoft took it one step further. There is a new program from Microsoft called Microsoft ToDo, and that has replaced the old to-do item in Outlook. This is a standalone program. It's right down here in my taskbar because I use it so much, but it's also available inside of Outlook. I click on To Do, and there it's going to give me those flagged emails. So there's the flagged email that I had done earlier. So depending on which way I want to look at my list, I can look at it here, or I can look at it on the email message. If I click on it, it will even open up that original email message and lets me see exactly what my email was. So it's a way for me to be able to work together on all sorts of different things. And if I mark it as done in here, it gets it off this list. And if I go back to my mail, it's going to turn off the flag in here. So it's an interactive flag across multiple categories, pulling it all together. If you use another one of my favorite programs, OneNote, you can make a task list in there, and that also adds it to your to-do list. So it really has become Microsoft's way of pulling all your to-dos in one place. And that's the most important part when trying to triage anything, is getting all your to-dos together. I'm used to having multiple, okay, in front of me, I even have multiple sheets of paper here of things that I need to get done. But I try to make sure I put them in Microsoft ToDo as soon as possible, because that's going to stay with me, because it's here in Outlook, it's on the web, it's on my phone. So I don't have to worry about trying to figure out what I need to do next. It all stays with me. So I'm going to unfilter and go back to all mail. Now, I know a lot of people go through and change it to unread mail. My husband's one of those who goes through and he doesn't use flags. He turns things to unread. Well, you can do that too and use that to find your unread mail. But I end up losing some of my unread mail if I do it that way. But that's another filter that you can do. Another thing I want to show you is this message that I got from Renee, our office manager. And this is a new feature that you're seeing in a lot of places. You're seeing the @ sign in somebody's name. Now, the cool thing is that's going to pull my name in. And if you notice here, there's this great big @ sign next to the email message. If I get people in the office to tell me, if you want me to do something specific, use this @ tag in front of it, and then I'm going to be able to see that message even clearer, because I don't have to go through and read the message to see that I need to do something. I know right away somebody needs me to do something. If you use Microsoft Teams, another program within the 365 suite, the @ symbol comes up in a lot of different places to really emphasize that something needs to get done. So all I have to do is type @ and there's Renee's name right at the top. And I'm able to send her a message back that will show that same @ sign. It's kind of a way, hashtags, we're used to using that. Well, the @ sign is now to tag a specific person when you're inside of here. Okay, pausing to catch my breath here. Any questions on Outlook while I'm taking a sip of water here? Okay. Another one of the tags that I use a lot of and let me go back, discard that message, and turn off my view. I use the categorize an awful lot. The categorize, if I go through and tell it that this is something that has to do with licensing, it's a way that I can quickly go through and then use the search panel and tell it that I want to find all the emails that have to do with licensing using the search command. Now, I really like using the categorize because a lot of people will use folders, and I'm no exception. I have a lot of folders over here that I drag and drop my emails in. But I found that there's an annoying habit by Outlook in that if somebody replies back to a message that I've already put in a folder, it jumps out of the folder. So I've lost where I put it. But by using categories, that makes sure that no matter where it is, whether it's back in a folder or in my inbox, it's going to stay that I know what that email is about. Now, I try not to use too many categories, but you can create as many as you'd like. These are just showing the top ones. You're able to create additional categories. The nice thing is that those same categories can be used not only for emails, but for your calendar events. So if I have contracts 1, I can label which emails are associated with contracts. But if I have a calendar event that's also about a contract, I can color it that same way to know this type of event goes with this category. So again, it's another way not only to triage your inbox, but also to triage your calendar and keep your calendar color coded. Okay, questions. Scheduling and booking times feature. Now, I don't know if everybody saw that, but in the chat, Zoe was asking, will you be able to show the scheduling and booking times? I did not pre-plan on doing that. We'll see if it works for me here. There is the Bookings app. So Bookings is now included with all versions of Outlook that come with a Microsoft 365 license. And so I can create a booking page. Well, I already had one out here that's for training sessions. I can make it appear on my booking page, and I'm going to put 1-hour blocks out there. I can then send a copy of my booking page out to somebody who's trying to book training with me, and they'd be able to pick what time works best for them that's already available on my schedule. And this will keep my schedule up to date, that if I already have something else booked, it's going to keep me from seeing that, or from somebody trying to double book. This is so great if you're trying to go through and avoid that constant email back and forth of saying, hey, when's a time that we can go through and meet? And I cannot tell you how many times we're trying to go through and find that. So Bookings is a new feature. If you don't see it in your toolbar off to the side, use the More Apps button, and you'll be able to find Bookings through there to be able to add it to your Outlook. Once I'm here, I can, where is my link for this? Oh, it's a generic page for the booking. I'm sorry, I haven't used this in a while, so I don't have a booking page available, but this is a great feature inside of here. I want to show you another way that you can get around some of those booking problems. If I'm trying to find a good time to meet, there is a way that I can kind of publish my schedule to somebody else so that they can look to see what's open on my schedule and see what fits with them. This is sometimes a little bit easier when you're trying to work with multiple people at a time. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to say Insert a Calendar. And I am going to say that I want it for the next 7 days. And it's going to show my available time. I click OK. And what it's done inside of here is put within the body of an email message a little mini calendar showing which days I have to work with. And then it's saying what blocks of time I have free or busy. So this is another way that you can share your information with a partner to be able to find, oh, okay, we can meet 2 p.m. on the 27th. You have that available? I have it available on my screen. So that's a really great way to be able to share it. And sometimes this is easier for those people that aren't so used to using the bookings command. Now, it does attach a copy of your calendar. I don't always want people to put my calendar in their calendar, so I'll remove the attachment and send the rest of us. But this is just text. I can go through, and if I say I don't want them to show Saturdays and Sundays, I can delete those and get it out of there. I can make any changes to this that I want. Do you know if this calendar feature is available in the online version? Let me bring it up and just double check. I know bookings is available on there. Okay, and something, oh, there we go. So let's make a new message. And I'm going to insert, and it does not look like there is the feature inside of there for the calendar. So I'm glad you asked that. I'm sorry I didn't have an answer off the top of my head, but it does make me remember a new feature that is out there, and that is Microsoft Loop. Microsoft Loop is kind of a funny program. What it does in here is, well, let's order lunch. So you can put out here, who wants what? Taco, hamburger, and pizza, my 3 food groups. And over here, when you send this message out, people are going to be able to interactively type into this loop component. And you're going to see the answers just by looking at this email once again. So this is a new feature. I think it's new within the last 6 months. I haven't seen a lot of people using it yet, but it really has a lot of fascinating features inside of there. And you're able to share this and get information back from it. Scheduling poll. Again, same sort of thing. This is not the one I was thinking of. Again, I've had trouble now that Microsoft 365 is updated regularly. Sometimes new features come up there that I haven't tried before. So I'm always clicking on something and saying, okay, what's new about that? It's amazing what you do find in there. It is getting so hard to know everything about a particular program, but it is a lot of different features out there. Any other questions? Okay, when I delete emails from Outlook on my desktop, they do not delete from my Outlook mobile device on my phone and vice versa. Is there a better way to sync? It really depends on what version you're using on your phone and on desktop. If you are using Microsoft Outlook on your desktop or in a web browser, and the Microsoft Outlook on your phone, it will sync up. If you are using Outlook and it's attached to an Exchange server, so if you're not using Microsoft 365 or Outlook Online, and Exchange server will not always understand if you delete it from your desktop, it may not delete it off of your phone. It actually keeps two separate copies for that. So that's a little bit harder answer without knowing more of your environment to find out what's available or not. Carrie asked, can these features be used and shared with people who don't use Outlook? Loop, they do have to be on your Microsoft 365 account or have a 365 account. So I find it's useful for internal things. And that's why, or the bookings component will work with people outside of your office because that's an interactive web page. And again, that's why I also started using the calendar feature inside of the Outlook desktop, because that also works from people that are outside of my internal office, and I can send it out to anyone. What other questions? I want to show one other thing here. If I want to add somebody to my contact list, you have a lot more features, and especially with the online version of it. If I get an email from someone, I can hover over it, and it's going to show me a little bit about them. But if I click on the three dots, I can add them to my Outlook contacts. That way, I'm able to add them to my contacts and have them available to be able to get to in the future. Once I go through and add them to my contacts, when I go back in here, I'd eventually see the list of all the emails that person has sent me. So that's a great way to be able to pull those things together so you don't have to go through and filter by name. You're able to work together on it. And my last tip is for replying to messages. Okay, this is aimed to someone that I know and love. When they send me an email, they'll send me an email, hey, I want to schedule a meeting for you on Friday. I'll send you a meeting invite. So then they send two messages, one that tells me what the meeting is and another one with the meeting invite. You can go through and reply to any email as a meeting. Here's my reply back. Notice it keeps the body of the email in there. If I had attachments, I can add attachments to it, and everything's all there. So I know what this meeting is going to be about. It's all right there, and we're able to go forward from there. It makes so much more sense to reply back with an email with the calendar invite than just having it as two separate emails. And as someone who has a lot of email in her inbox, I am not one of those zero inbox people. I wish I was, but this is such a much better way to be able to group those emails together so that I have everything all in one place. Sorry, Zoe, I'm not going to schedule a meeting with you. Any other questions that you have out there? Okay. Well, my name's Gretchen Bren. I'm with Turner Technology. I am based in Omaha, but we also have an office in Holdridge, Nebraska. So I am frequently out in the western part of the state as well. If you have training that you're interested in, give me a call. I hope you got at least a couple of tips in here. If not, contact me. I'll be glad to refund your money. And thank you for having me here today.
Yes, thank you for taking time to present today. I know I myself learned a lot. I'm not too in the know about Excel spreadsheets, so that was super helpful. But are you okay with me putting your contact email in the recording send out for everyone?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So yes, her contact information will be in the recording email send out. So if you have any follow-up questions, or for those of you watching the recording, feel free to reach out to her. She would love that.
Mhm.
But since I don't see any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today's webinar. So again, thank you, Gretchen, for presenting today. It was amazing. And it looks like a lot of great feedback is rolling in through the chat. And thank you to everyone for attending today. If you have any questions about anything, you can email me at zoe@grownebraska.org. Or as always, you can give our store a call. And any of our Grow Nebraska team members would be happy to assist you. And then we have some awesome upcoming trainings. Our next one is next Thursday, March 28th, and that is with Josefina Loza. If you were at Market Tech, she was a breakout session speaker, and she's going to discuss budget-friendly marketing for small businesses. And then the first Wednesday of April, April 3rd, Maria Elena Duran, our Google Premier partner, will be presenting over how to power your business with AI. And then, of course, the third Thursday, April 18th, we'll have Adam DeFresco. He was also a breakout speaker at Market Tech 2024, and he's going to dive into SEO Bootcamp, turning your website into a lead generation machine. These are all up for registration on the grownebraska.org upcoming trainings tab. And I can do a quick screen share here to show you that, but you can scan this QR code, or you can, let me pull up my screen here. If you go to grownebraska.org, I've never showed this live and I feel it's needed. Under training and events, you'll find upcoming trainings. And then also our on-demand trainings is a full library of any previous trainings that we've done. You can go back and watch the recordings of these. They are available on our YouTube as well. And there's a link to our YouTube right there. And then upcoming trainings is where all our other upcoming ones are. So you can go ahead and get registered for them now, and you'll get a reminder once that date approaches. So we would love to have you on another one. Let me get my slideshow back up here. Okay. And then be sure to follow us on social media. We are also promoting all our trainings on there as well if you happen to miss anything. And then also we just post some really cool things about Nebraska businesses and of course awesome Nebraska products that you can purchase and support Nebraska businesses. We're on pretty much everything: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We are on all of that. And then feel free to leave the Grow Nebraska Foundation a Google review. Let us know how you are liking everything, what Grow Nebraska has done for you. We would love to hear feedback, and Google reviews really make everyone do a little happy dance behind their laptop. And that is all my information for today. So again, if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to Grow Nebraska. And like I said, Gretchen's contact email will be in the follow-up, and the recording will be sent out today. So be on the lookout for that. And thanks again, Gretchen, and thanks again to everyone that tuned in live.